Hello, 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 Nneka.
Well, hello there, Michael Johnson.
How are you doing today?
I am good.
Oh my goodness. Today is a juicy one for us. Let me say welcome to all of our folks who are out there watching us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me just do this real quick. Please do me a favor, and Nneka as well. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button here. We
Yes.
need your participation and we need your assistance. That's how we get discovered here on YouTube. As a lot of you probably know, it's all about the algorithm. So we're
Yep.
trying to make that thing pop. So please go out to Mandatory Conversations with Mike Johnson's podcast and go ahead on like, subscribe, and all that other kind of good stuff. All right, let's get into this thing, Nneka. Yeah. So
Yeah.
listen, man, you actually put this one into play for us. So why don't you kick us off for starters?
Well, we
Uh,
kind of built it together,
we
right?
did, but I'll let you go ahead. I'm excited for you to talk about it.
Well, it's one of those things. So, what happens when
Mm-hmm.
you find a loved one and your family members do not approve of them? Like, what do you do?
Ooh.
So, the
Mm,
proposal has been made. He or she has presented them to family members, and they're like, "Nope, we don't approve. We do not
mm,
approve this person." Like, what do you do?
mm. Let me ask you a question real quick, Nneka, before we get started. Have you ever found yourself in that position?
Um, well, no, I didn't introduce my family members to to anybody unless I thought it was something serious.
Okay.
So no, no, I didn't because I wasn't into introducing anyone. So if it was just a casual relationship and we were just dating, I didn't bring them around a lot.
Mm,
My mom, I grew up in a single parent household. So my mom and my sister, they were my everything. And
gotcha.
so if I brought them around you, that meant something. So I didn't necessarily bring any love interests around. Fred was probably the only one that I brought around.
Wow.
Yeah, I just didn't date a lot.
Okay.
So no.
You so a couple of things I want us to get around talking to because it makes a difference, right? I think it does, and you can help
Mhm.
me better because you're the expert here. But I think men experience this the same way women do, and the reason I asked you to talk about it first because I actually experienced that.
You did.
I did. I did. I think a lot of men experience it, believe it or not, Nika. So when I was dating my wife, Stephanie, her dad was not a fan of mine at all.
Wow.
I mean, when I tell you this dude was not a fan, no, listen, it wasn't it wasn't until I think my twin daughters, they literally were graduating from high school. He pulled me to the side. And keep in mind, my twin daughters were 18, my oldest daughter was 20. He
Wow.
pulled me to the side. He's like, I need to talk to you. Not thinking anything of it. You know, we really hadn't had too many serious conversations. And he's literally said to me, hey man, I just want to tell you, thank you for taking care of my daughter. Thank you for taking care of my granddaughters. You have done a fantastic job. He said, I don't think I could have done any better. And I was shocked, Nneka. I was like, whoa, what in the world is going on here? Because he had never
Up
spoken to me
until
like
that
that.
point.
Yep. And my daughters will be 29 next month. So that was only 11 years ago.
So how did that work then?
It
Going to
did it.
family.
So Nneka, this was crazy, right? So he came to to the wedding and all that. But when I first started dating, it was very contentious. And when I was younger, I was very hot tempered. I didn't care. I was like, I don't, you don't mean, Nneka, I was another person. I was another
Were
person.
you?
Oh, Nneka, I was a whole other person. I didn't care. I was like, I'm
You
not
didn't
dating you.
care.
I'm dating your daughter. You know what I mean? And I love her, and I don't. As long as she loves me and she wants to get married, I'm gonna marry her. I mean, I don't necessarily care what you think, one way or the other. Now, I must say, all of her family members, other than him, they all like me. They actually all love me. Yep.
So how did Stephanie handle that?
I
Was she
think it was. I think it was tough for her because she's a daddy's girl. She really, really, really is a daddy's girl. But I
uh,
think it was. It was. I know it was tough for her at first because she was like, "I really want y'all to get together. I want y'all to, talk. I want y'all to be on the same page." And it was crazy because when people see me, they say sometimes that I look like her father. So I think a lot of those characteristics. Yeah. And she was like, "My father did this, 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 and this, and he doesn't. He didn't like me." And I really didn't, you know what, is I'm gonna talk to him about it because then we have a great relationship. So I'm
Right.
gonna ask him, like, why, what was it that you didn't like about me? And I think it was just the fact, and I think this is all men, that somebody is coming in and your daughter is now entertaining being married to this person, and they literally are taking your place. And that's Nneka, for a
Yeah.
man. We're gonna talk about this on another show. For a man to give away his first daughter,
It's hard, huh?
Nneka, is tough. I struggled with that. I really, really. We'll talk about this another time, but I struggled with that. I really did. So I understand now, after having gone through it, what
Mhm.
he may have been feeling.
But to go as far as not really making connections with you up until your twin daughters was 18, that's a lot of missed time.
But you know what's Nneka? What was crazy? I didn't care. I did it. It didn't. It didn't register to me that I should care, but I didn't. I really didn't care. I just love my wife. I was like, as long as she loves me, I mean, why do I need his approval? That's
That
how I thought.
that would have bothered me if my husband's or anybody that I dated, if
Mm-hmm.
their mom or dad didn't like me, that would have been problematic. Because I'm a person I want to be liked
Yeah,
by the people that are important to me.
correct.
I don't
See,
necessarily care about other people, but
no, but I agree with you, Nneka, because guess what? I felt that way. I was like, as long as it mattered to the most important people, I didn't have to see her dad a lot, but I had to see her mom a lot because she lived with her mom. So me and her mother really close. Like, I mean, really, really close. She was close to her uncles. She was close to a whole bunch of other people. So I was close to them. All of these other people who were like, I mean, very, very important to her. I made sure I got to know all of them. I was at all the holiday parties. I did all the birthday parties, all the stuff that you could do as a family member with them. I did. It was just with her father. That was the only person. And I knew that it bothered her, but she understood to the position he had took against me. And she was like, well, I understand as a man, you're a young man, he's an older man,
yeah.
that, y'all bumping heads. I understand it. It's just what it is. And I got to live with it. But I always told her, I said, I'm not trying to get in the way of you and your dad's relationship. I want y'all to have a great relationship. Just understand, between he and I, that probably won't happen. It'll just be you two. And I was like, anytime you got to do something with him or he wants to come over, or whatever the case is, I'm fine with that. If I have to leave the house just so y'all can have a good time, I'm
Woo.
okay with that. Yeah, it didn't bother me. It didn't. But I just wanted her to be happy, as happy as she could possibly be in that situation. So it didn't bother me. I'm
So
not the type of person.
so when you started having kids, though,
Yep.
that did not. I mean, the first.
It changed somewhat. It
Okay.
that changed it somewhat because we had kids. But it wasn't like, oh, we spoke here, like we were talking, oh, come on, let's go all hang out, let's go do this stuff. We didn't do any of that. It wasn't until, like, literally, like I said, my daughters went in 12th grade, graduated high school. Then we started. Now when I see them, we talk and chop it up and do all the other kind of stuff. And it's crazy too, because him and my dad and her dad, they talk all the time. Yeah, great
Wow.
relationship. So God worked it out, and works in mysterious ways, and it worked out. So in any event, it's not about me and Nika. Stop trying to analyze and do all that other stuff. We'll do that later. We'll
Right.
take care of that later. We'll
That's
take care
fun.
of it later.
Yeah.
Tonight, it's about Fantasia. Like, some of you guys
Yes.
who are watching, again, thank you so much. Please jump in the comments where you want to. So Fantasia, this is what it's about. This is what we're leading up to.
Yeah.
Fantasia's husband did a great thing not long ago. He literally came and he proposed to her for the first time. The first time they got married, when they got married, he didn't propose, right? But he surprised her in Houston at her Valentine's Day show, and he proposed to her. And the dude, it was it really was emotional. I watched it. I almost started crying. I was like, this dude is amazing, right? And he dropped the 11-carat ring on. He said, look, for every year that we've been married, I want to give you 1 carat.
Yeah.
I was like, go ahead with your bad self, my brother.
I know.
Right? And he did all of this, and it was such a beautiful thing. A couple of days later, we see Fantasia's dad come out against him like, oh no, that was some fake charlatan thing. He's just trying to make y'all think that he's this and he's that, and he's not really any of those things. And this is where you and I got to talking about it. And I was like, Nneka, did you see this?
I know.
This is crazy. This dude
Yeah.
the dad just came and demolished all the good stuff this foundation, this guy has laid. And it's not like they got married yesterday. They got married 11 years
ago.
So, but yeah, what was your interpretation?
Well, it was, I mean, you have people that are taking these very authoritative stance on things, right?
Yep.
And so you wonder, like, who do you believe? And I'm
Mm.
honest with you. I would like to think that Fantasia's husband is sincere. I don't want to just doubt him. But then when you have a lot of people who are chiming in and almost believing the dad. And so I think, I'm not in their relationship, but like, where would he have gotten that from? Where would Fantasia's father would have gotten that information? Maybe, well, let's say it was that. Let's say at some point she was making more money than him. And as a result of that, the father didn't like him. Like, whose business is it of yours? If your daughter is happy, he's not hurting her. I mean, let's say that was the scenario where, he wasn't, he didn't have a lot of money like she did. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Nneka, because so we've seen um Candy and her husband Todd.
Yeah.
They went through this. And so what I'm seeing is a lot of people are saying, here we go again, a Mary J. Blige situation, a Candy Burris situation. This guy came in, this woman's already established. She's a superstar. She's made all this money. And this guy is just there to basically steal her money from her. But the thing that I didn't understand, and I looked this up, her husband is worth 2 or 3 million on his own. This is without Fantasia.
Okay.
And so I was like, what's going on here? And I don't know if you saw Nneka, but he actually is the one who asked for the prenup. He was the one who said, I want the prenup because this is the point I don't want us to get to. Well, I don't want somebody coming back saying, hey, I did this. Now, I do have a question for you, Nneka. So he's been with her for 11 years. At the time that they met, Fantasia actually, I don't know if you remember this, I think she had been bankrupt. Like, her money was funny. Like, she wasn't making that much money then. Like, she had gone through a bunch of stuff. Remember, so if we laying it all out here, Fantasia had been involved with a married man.
Yeah.
In North Carolina.
I
think she had a baby by him. If you're not mistaken, I'm not mistaken. I think that's correct. So allegedly she had a baby by this guy, right?
Right.
But this is not alleged. The man's wife sued Fantasia. So in North Carolina, if you commit adultery, you can sue the adulterer.
Oh, wow.
So she sued Fantasia and won. And so that was a whole big messy thing. And then, this husband came after that. So her money was a lot messed up. And I think she had some bad business dealings. I think her manager had stolen money from her, some bad investments, some other stuff. So her money was not like what it is today. Like today, Fantasia is popular. Matter of fact, shout out to Fantasia and her husband. You guys are fantastic. We love what you're doing. But she's doing very, very well right now. But from what I understand, so is he. But to your point, people are bashing this guy, Nneka. Like, he is like nothing. He's below. And I did also find out that he served some time.
Yeah, he's a felon.
He's a felon, or ex-felon, right?
Well, yes, ex-felon, yeah.
Yeah, he's an ex-felon. And so, but that part of his life is kind of, that's way back when.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to figure out, what is it? Why are these people going after this guy so hard in this situation? And I did see Ricky Smiley did something the other day, I think today. He may have done his whole show was dedicated to her because Fantasia is messed up behind this, right? Yeah. And I guess my question would be, to people who have gone through this before, we really want to hear from you, especially women with their dads, where, have you guys experienced that where your dad has just come out against you or said these terrible things about you to even make you feel like you're not their child? Like, from what I understand, she is really, really, really upset. And she should be, right? Right, exactly. She should be. But as a therapist, what in the hell, Nneka?
Yeah. I think when the family system is being reorganized, and people
explain that, by the way, please.
Well, because let's just say the family that you were raised with, it's almost like it's us versus them. So you're trying, so you have this loyalty to the family that you were raised with versus the person you're trying to build a future with. And some people have a difficult time, like let's say a father, in Fantasia's case, the father, he fears probably losing access to her, right?
Like, what type of access do you think, by the way?
It could be financial. It could be maybe he had, I mean, again, I don't know their situation, but let's
Mhm.
say he had more access to her, whether it's control, whether it's
Mm.
time, whether it's money, help. But when you have a partner that comes in the picture, you got to consult your partner about stuff.
Yes, sir.
But people don't like that. So it's just like, so that fear of losing access to just the, okay, her husband is her covering now. So she can't just go out doing stuff if she's
Mhm.
doing it the right way, spending money. Not to say you got to get permission, but if you're doing things as a unified front, you got to do things with your partner. And so I'm sure the father, maybe Fantasia has denied him money or something, and he don't like that. So I don't like your husband because he the reason why you ain't helping me out no more. You the reason. So it's one of those things.
So, Nneka, I honestly, this is where I think we now have a sticking problem, right? I think this is where the issue is. From what I understand, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but the father actually sued Fantasia.
For what?
Uh, it was about some money. It was, it's one of these things where people, and I've seen this a lot of times. I see Glorilla is going through this right now, and shout out to her and praying for her. Her sister has launched this whole campaign, and her sister came out and said it. So I respect her sister. Her sister was, look, basically, you, my sister, you owe our family. You are indebted to us. You need to be taking care of us. You should be giving us X amount of money. You should get us out the hood. We should be having cars, this, that, and the other. The sister literally said, people think that Glorilla's done all this stuff for her mom. Yeah, she bought her mom a house and did something for her dad. But I understand the dad is still working. But what I also heard was, and it's hard to now validate a bunch of these things. But the dad is working because he wants to work. He doesn't want to stop working
Yeah.
because that's all he knows for the most part, right?
Right.
But Glorilla's sister has literally said, "Hey, Glorilla, you owe us. You should have us on your payroll. You should be giving us this kind of money. You should be doing this." Now, Fantasia's father, on the other hand, he hasn't said that, but to me, that's what it feels like. To your point, like, because honestly, if Fantasia is now married to her husband, they have to talk about, well, okay, Fantasia, you were giving your parents this money, you were doing this. We may need to do some things differently because we have a family and we have to take care of this family first. And I guess since we're here at this place, did you and Fred have this kind of, if you don't mind me asking,
Oh,
did
for
you
sure.
and Fred have this kind of talk to say, because I think a lot of married couples do this, to say, look, we can help relatives, but this is how it has to happen. Like, you can't just go, Nneka, give your mother $20,000 and you don't tell me you gave 20,000 or 500 or some significant amount of money
Right.
to one of your relatives, and you didn't tell me you did it. Like, I'm your husband. I'm not trying to lord over you, but this is our household.
That's
And
right.
for this household to work, we got to talk about these decisions. And on the flip side of that, I'm just saying Fred's name because your husband, Fred.
Yeah.
Fred, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just give money freely to whomever because you're my wife. And if I do need to do it, my first question is going to be, Nneka, what do you think? And how do you think we should do that?
Right. Well, yeah, we would definitely discuss it if it's a certain amount that we're giving. It would have to be a discussion because if not, now you're lying. You're not being transparent about what
Yeah.
you're doing. Because we're building a future together.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case though, it's almost like the father is not liking it. I feel like the father is not liking him because of that reason. I really want us to kind of stick in that area.
I believe that.
That father is just like, listen, I have some needs, and
You
because
cut my
I really
supply.
believe that if Fantasia was whatever she was doing before she married him,
Mm-hmm.
if she was being generous, and if she was still being generous now, the father probably would have nothing to say whatsoever. And so I just feel like a lot of times families are too enmeshed. They're too when I say enmeshment, it's just like it's like an unhealthy connections. They're all in each other's business. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you decide to be in a relationship that wasn't blood related, when you decide to be in a relationship that's not blood, people get a little funny about that because, again, think family dynamics change and people don't
Yeah.
like that. And like with the issue with Todd and Candy, Candy's mother hated Todd because she felt like, okay, you trying to get my daughter's money and you ain't got no money. So people don't like people for various reasons.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's justified and sometimes it's not. It's just because I don't want change. I don't want you to bring somebody else in. I want to choose, who you date.
Yeah.
I want control over that. I can't control that person. They can't control
Yeah.
Kendall. Nobody can. You can tell that is a smart man. Ain't nobody
Yes.
control him.
No.
Nobody control that man. So that's what the father don't like. He can't control him.
I mean, but shouldn't it be that way? And I'll tell you the one thing that I love about Fantasia and her husband, Kendall, her first, she has gone on television, she's gone on radio, and she said that she was like, I submit to my husband. And I think for a second, I just want to veer off here because I got some questions for you regarding this. Why do so many women, that's a two-part question. Why do so many women have an issue with submitting to their husbands? I really want to know that. I'm not talking about to your boyfriend. I'm not talking about to a guy you've been dating for 3-4 months or casually dating. I'm talking about the person whom you said you believe God has put you in relationship with. And you honestly believe that is your spouse for life. Why do women have such a hard time doing it? And I say that because Fantasia went on television and she just screamed it from the rooftop. She said, listen, I submit to my husband. He doesn't lord over me, but I submit to him in a godly way. I believe God placed him here for a reason. He is my husband. He's the head of our household. So all roads lead through him to me. He's my covering. And so I've seen a lot of women upset about this, Nneka. They're upset with Fantasia about this. They're upset with her because I feel like she had to kind of turn her back a little bit to her family to shield herself to say, y'all killing me. This is my husband. This guy's not trying to steal from me. Now, granted, like Candy's mother, mothers and fathers, we get this sixth sense about a person, but we can't control our children.
Yeah, you can't.
Right. But back to my question, why do women have such an issue with that?
I think for the most part, I feel like a lot of us have not been raised in two-parent households. Concept of submission is so foreign. Not everybody, that was foreign to me.
Really?
I didn't understand submission.
Okay.
Initially, I didn't.
Okay.
Because I didn't grow up in a two-parent household. Well, until I was about 10 or 11, but you're not really paying attention then. And so I think for a lot of women, that's not their experience. Their experience is not necessarily growing up in a two-parent household. So they don't know what that means. I mean, if you take it at face value, it's just like, oh, you're trying to control me. You're telling me what to do. I ain't got to say so. So it's what people think about what submission is. They define it all wrong. Because in my head, when they said, I'm going to, when your vows obey, when they talk about the obey part, I ain't don't put that in there. I ain't obeying nobody.
You took it out?
Huh?
You took it out?
We didn't have it in there.
Okay.
I mean, it just, me and both agreed that it didn't need to be in there. Okay. That sounds weird.
Okay.
I'm not a kid. I'm your equal. I'm your wife. And so, yeah, but I definitely submit to Fred, and he submits to me. We submit to one another.
That's the part that doesn't get talked about all the time in Ephesians in that 5th chapter, where it talks about people only get down to the part where it says a woman must submit, but a lot of men miss this. If you just go down like another 2 verses, you see it where it says, and a man also submits to his wife as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I think, Michael. I feel like a lot of women, some women have been raised in a single parent household. Even if you were in a 2-parent household, if you didn't have somebody that you saw leading, you don't necessarily have an example of that. So you don't even know what that means. And so for some women, if they see a guy that, one, I'm not going to go a very long time in a relationship where I feel like a man I wouldn't back then, that they're going to lead me to a ditch. So if you got examples of a person not necessarily making good decisions, I'm not following you.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be together.
I know that's the part I didn't understand. And my sister just jumped on, hey baby, her name is Kiki. Kiki said, Marquita, she said, it's the understanding of what submission means. And you just said it, right? Like you just kind of cleared that up for us, what the idea and what the literal intent of submission is. Right. It's not that a man should lord over you or you should submit to him in a slave-like manner. And I think that's what a lot of women hear when you talk about submission. They think that it's in a slave-like manner, but it isn't a slave-like manner. And in some instances it is, because, it's you treating your spouse the way you would want to be treated. It's reciprocal. right? So it's not just you doing all of these things, washing his clothes or whatever the case might be, whatever you guys have established, but it's also him doing a whole bunch of things in honor and in submission to you as well.
Mm-hmm. You know how on Coming to America, and how they exaggerated it. And
Yeah.
so I know it was just an exaggeration, she barking, it's just
Yeah.
like my wish is your command type deal. And so
Yeah.
for a lot of men, I know that was just kind of like a spoof of the whole thing, but that's what some women think. I am not about to bow down to you like that. And so
Yeah.
again, it's just they read it and define it way like it's all wrong. That's
Yeah.
not what it's like.
No,
Do
I would
you
agree.
remember Coming to America?
Man, listen, that's one of my favorite movies. I love Eddie Murphy, and my two favorite movies by him are that one and then Harlem Nights.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorites.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
That's good. So yeah, I think that's what happens. Like how are you as a dad when it comes, because you got adult daughters?
Hmm.
How do you approach your daughters, mates and boyfriends and husbands? I mean, how do you approach that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know if I ever shared this with you,
Mm-mm.
but so one of my daughters is married. My middle daughter, I have twin daughters. I have three daughters. My twin daughters, my identical twin daughters, the oldest of the two, which only by 2 minutes, barely 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Right? We'll call them baby A and baby B because that's my wife always refers to them.
Are they identical?
They're identical. They look exactly alike too, by the way. I mean, they look 100% exactly alike.
Whoa, that is
Uh-huh. They do. And so my oldest of the twin daughters, baby A, I'll call her.
uh-huh.
Her husband now asked me for her hand in marriage 3 times.
Why 3 times, Michael?
So I know I'm going to be very transparent with you now. You can go into you can diagnose me or put my diagnosis out for everybody. I give you that permission. So for a man, this is what I started talking to you about earlier. For a man, it's very, very difficult to give your daughter over to another man because literally it's an exchange. Even in the vows, it says that who takes this woman to be married to this man, and then the father has to give away. Literally, this is a literal meaning. You're literally giving your daughter over to this man to now take over for you. Meaning now your daughter no longer looks to you for that support that she used to look for you, whether it be financial, whether it be emotional, or whatever the case might be. And I just remember my wife, Nneka, she came to me, she said, Mike, I need you to get prepared for something. And she said, I want you to sit down. I'm like, what's going on? She said, it's about Sydney. And I was like, what's going on with her? She was like, her boyfriend is going to propose to her. I'm telling you, I know it's going to come and I need you to be ready for it because I know how close you are to your kids. I need you to be ready. Nneka, there's no getting ready for this. I'm gonna write a book about this. There's no getting ready for that. And so I remember he called me like 2 days later. I said, my wife knew this was coming. He was in the military and he had this very special assignment. So he was serving, like doing one of those kind of assignments that, helps America, whatever. And so, and matter of fact, shout out to all those people in the military because he was serving, like serving. He called from wherever he was. It was a very remote place. He had to do a lot to make this phone call. He called me. He said, Mr. Johnson, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yeah. What's going on? He was like, I can't be long, but I just want to make this really, really short. I love your daughter, right? When he said that, my heart just sank.
It sank.
I'm talking. Now, I should have been extremely happy, right? Like I should have been over the moon, all this. I wasn't. I actually went the other way. I was 180 degrees the other way. My heart sank. My hands got cold. Nneka, I felt like I felt like I was in shock, right? And so he said, I want to marry her. And I said, no, just immediately, no. I think he was shocked. He was literally, I think he was shocked. I think he was blown away. My daughter's going to probably be blown away when she sees this. And I said, no. And it wasn't because he wasn't a good young man, because Nneka, the dude is such a great young man. Like if I could have prayed for a son, this is probably the type of person I would have prayed for in a son.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't look at him as a son-in-law. He's just a great young man, period. And so he was like, huh? I was like, no, I said, I don't think you're ready. And my daughter, the other thing was my daughter had just graduated from college and she was on this, just her and my other daughter, my twin daughters were on this trajectory where they were opening their own business. They were going to travel the world. They had a lot of plans, but I saw that all of those things got halted. And I was like, she hadn't even had a chance to live her life yet. And me and my wife would put a lot of energy, a lot of effort into our kids and making sure that they can make their dreams come true. And I just felt like, okay, she's not going to be able to live out part of her dreams because she's going to stop, get married, and it's going to cut off the things that she's really wanted to do. But in my heart and my spirit, I was like, what happens to me now as a father? I think a lot of men who are close to their daughters, they go through this. And I was devastated. And so I told him, I said, nah, I can't. I think he was hurt because it was a long pause. And he was like, okay, Mr. Johnson, I understand. Called me a second time. And he said, Mr. Johnson,
what was the time frame that he
called? This was probably like maybe 2 months later, something like that. Maybe 2-3 months later. Yeah. And so he called me. He said, Mr. Johnson, I really, really, really love your daughter. It's nothing I wouldn't do for her. I want to marry her, and I'm coming to you asking for a hand. I told him, I said, nah, I don't think you're ready. And it wasn't him that was ready. It was me. I wasn't ready. So, and this is a testimony, and I'm talking to all men. So I hope women too, moms, because I know moms can be this way as well, right? So my daughter, in between him calling me a third time, my daughter came to me and said, Daddy, I'm never going to marry somebody you don't give me permission to marry. Wow. I'm never going to do that. If you don't approve of the person, I'm never going to marry him. And I realized in that moment, I couldn't stop my daughter from marrying this young man because he was such a great young man. And I could see how much my daughter loved this young man. I mean, she really, really, really loved this young man. And it hurt me to my heart when I came to grips with it, that I had denied him those 2 times, because really, I should not have denied him those 2 times. The first time that he asked, I should have literally said yes. I should have been super excited, over the moon, that he was asking my daughter for her hand in marriage, and that he was even coming to me, because young men don't even ask the fathers anymore for their hand in marriage. And so the third time when he asked me, I didn't even pause. I just asked him one question. I said, would you give your life for my daughter's life? If it ever came down to it, this is the only thing I need to know. He said, I would die 10 times for her. I said, okay.
Wow. But what was the fear, though? I mean, it's not like you didn't like him. But why didn't you?
No, it wasn't that. It's the fear of losing your child, like I'm very close to my daughter. So it was a fear of losing my daughter. I didn't know what to expect. So I just went into this fight or flight fear mode of losing my daughter. I thought I was going to literally lose my daughter, because literally my daughter was moving from DC to New Mexico to be with him. So if you know anything about distance from DC to New Mexico, I think it's like 3,500 miles or something like that. It wouldn't be easy for me to get to her. And I thought in my mind, what if something happens to her? How is he going to treat her? Is he going to do her like I do her? Is he going to provide for her like I provide for her? And what I had to come to understand was he could never really provide for her. Well, I ain't gonna say never. He couldn't provide for her on that level, and he still probably can't for a few more years, because I'm in my at that time, I'm 50. He's 20, he's 24, 25. So it's impossible, and it's not even reasonable for me to think that he could do all these things. But what I had to know was that my daughter trusted him, because my daughter said she trusted him and how much she loved him. I couldn't deny her. I love my daughter too much. I was like, well, if she says that, I got to go with it. But I just had a conversation with him, and he knew how it was. I was like, man, you don't have about my kids, about my daughters. I said, and this is my middle daughter, my sweet baby. I was like, do you know if anything happens to her, I'm going to be looking for you. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop me from you. He's like, no, Mr. Johnson, I understand fully who you are, and I understand what you would do. I said, good. And he said, and I also understand how you take care of her. And it's my intention. It's all with everything in me to take care of her the same as you did, and prayerfully better. And I said, you definitely got it. And I told him, I said, if something happens and you cannot take care of my daughter, if something ever happens, I need you to come to me and tell me that you're struggling, that you're having a problem, so that I can help. You don't have to tell her that I'm helping you, but I need my daughter taken care of. And if you ever have kids, I need to make sure my grandkids are taken care of, because there's nothing that will stop me from helping you or them. Wow. I told him, I said, you got to make me that promise that you would do that. And so he did. He said, Mr. Johnson, if I ever run into a hard time, and I told him, I said, he has a father, he has a mother. I said, I get all that. This is my baby. And if you need something, it's nothing that's going to stop me from helping my daughter. And now you're going to be my son. I don't have sons. So everything I have at this point is probably going to go to him, for all the stuff that I've worked for. So yeah, that's my story.
That's a great story. And hats off to you for really digging deeper to understand what the real issue was. Because you could have made it about him completely
It
and kept
wasn't.
saying no. And you knew it was something internal in you. And how many
Mhm.
people out there like that? How, are they really? Yeah, they may have some kind of sense that this may not be a good person for the person without any evidence to support it. But and it could be very well not good for that person or good for that person, but it's up to that person to decide. It's their decision. And so the fact that you were willing to dig a little deeper and kind of understand, like, what is this really about? Is it really about him, or is it about my fear of losing access to my daughter? Not that you needed anything from her, but
Nope.
just you were her covering, you
Yeah.
know? So that's scary for a lot of men. I get
It's very scary. And I see how a lot of men do it. Now, I don't know if this is to deal with Fantasia and her dad. And it very well could be. The fact that another man comes in and steps in your place, that's challenging. That's a challenging thing for another man. Like, you have to literally release and let your child go. And for those persons who haven't done it yet, I mean, don't judge me, because when you in your situation, I promise you, Nneka, when my daughter got married, I cried like a baby. I was like, I never cried that much in my life at one particular time. Yeah. Well,
wow.
maybe two times, because my oldest daughter went to college, and then, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm an ultimate girl that I love. I'm a
you
girl dad
love your baby girl.
times three. Oh, I moved because of my because of my kids.
That's so cool. That is so cool. But
Yeah,
that's that enmeshment though that we talk about.
that
It's
is it.
just too, I mean, when you think about the closeness, there were some things that created that sense of closeness
Yeah,
where it's like hard to let go. And I think for some men, like what you say, when like Fantasia's dad, maybe he wasn't the dad that he needed to be for her. And so
yeah,
then, so I think some men, the flip side of that, you were the dad that your daughter needed to be. So you wanted to
yeah.
make sure that she was cared for.
Yep.
But in Fantasia's, I don't know how close she was with her father, but let's say he wasn't the dad that he needed to be for her. And so there's a level of guilt there. So I just need to, I didn't miss my opportunity to be good to her. Now this man gonna swoop in and kind of be real
I
good
think
to her.
I think you're hitting on some things, because I read something. Man, this getting to be really bad with them.
Mhm.
Fantasia put out something. Her father, I think, was locked up as well
Yeah.
for a time, and she put out this whole nasty text messages between him and her. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. As a father, he said some really nasty things. It was crazy, and she actually had to come back and say, "Okay, now since you've done all this, and I didn't want to do this." Now I'm going to put it out there so people know exactly who you are.
Who
And
you are.
so now it does look like to me that the father doesn't necessarily, and this could be off. It's not that he cared about her in that way to protect her. It was that he was looking for something probably more financial. Like, because he had even made a comment and said something like, he had invested all this, and now he was looking for some kind of return on it. Some to that nonsense that's crazy. Let me just say this too, because my sister said this, and thank you, baby. I appreciate it for you saying it. She said it's also because you are the ultimate girl dad. You have been the only man in her life, which is true. And then she says she has a great role model in her mother and her father. Definitely her mother. They
Oh,
know what that looks like. So yeah,
that is so sweet.
yeah.
That's yeah, that's good. But like I said, the fact that you could, you probably didn't have to dig that deep. You knew what it
No,
was about.
I didn't have to dig deep at all. I felt it coming because my wife had said it to me before, and I was like, nah, I don't think so. And she was like, I'm telling you, I can see it. She said, you're not around them together enough. And that was the truth, because I think he was scared, because he's a little closer to my wife than he is to me, obviously, right? Because the mothers normally kind of let their guards down. They're all excited about this whole
Oh,
thing,
sure.
where I wasn't. And so he didn't display a lot of affection like that towards my daughter in my presence,
Mm,
right? He displayed enough just to be like, I want my daughter. He wanted my daughter to know that he loved her, but all that huggy and kissy stuff, he didn't do that around me.
he was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
Nah, he ain't do none of that stuff around me. He would hold her hand and all that, but
you
yeah,
couldn't
no,
handle you wouldn't have been
I
able to.
couldn't. I couldn't have been. No. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't have been able to handle that well at all. I would have been like,
Yeah.
nah. But I understood it. It was me. But
Mm,
getting back to Fantasia's situation, I was looking up some different things. At what point, Nneka, because this is where I lean to you as a therapist, I'm learning. At what point should not just parents but relatives in general back off and back away from interfering in a child's or their child's relationship, especially the marital relationship? At what point should they say, okay, she's married, he's married, I need to take a step back and respect the boundaries?
That would require somebody to have a high emotional IQ, right?
Mm,
People who are, if that's who they are as people,
mm-hmm,
to that couple to be unified, because you can't wait on other people to do the right thing, because chances are they're not. If they're starting off that way, chances are they're going to stay that way, because Ken's
mm-hmm.
mother, she stayed on Todd. And again, maybe, but at the same, although she may have seen something that Candy didn't see, Candy was happy. So you would rather,
Yes.
in that moment, she was happy. So why not just be happy for your daughter instead of just, looking out for your own interests?
Wait, hold on, stop for 1 second. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Mhm,
to cut you off because you just said something. You're
mhm.
always teaching, always teaching.
Oh, thanks, Michael.
So that last thing you just said, it jarred something in me.
Mhm.
What's going on with this mother? Because we just skip over to Candy's mother now. Because to me, when I think about her mother, it wasn't even about, to me, it didn't look like it was about Candy. It was more about her. And maybe a relationship or relationships prior where she had issues with men. And now
There you go.
Todd was, okay, go ahead and speak to that.
No, that's good, because I don't know. I think Candy's mother wasn't married. I think her and her. I don't know if Candy's parents were ever married, but I think there were some issues there. And if she's, a lot of times people can internalize too. They could have had, Candy's mother could have had bad relationships, and she's gonna, internalize that and transfer, project that onto her daughter. There's a lot of projection. And again,
Mm-hmm.
not to say that she didn't see something, but once your daughter has made her decision and she says she's happy, it should be, you know what, let me step back and just pray for you. And
Yep.
so, Candy has made a lot of money. She's done good for herself, built this nice career. I get it. Mom don't want nobody coming in, swooping in, taking her baby's money. I get it. But I mean, aren't we? It's just like, isn't it more to life than money? If your
Yes.
baby happy, but it's, fortunately they're divorcing. But I feel like, and to answer your question, it's not a function of people changing, because that's pretty much, you don't even have control over somebody else liking somebody. It's a function of, okay, what do we do as a couple to be unified? When you think about the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, their situation, it's just,
Oof.
at some point you got to say, you know what, it's us against the world.
Yep.
We're gonna stick and stay. And this is how we're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think at this point it's really about the couple, the two people who's
Yeah.
involved. Having the people who don't like you, trying to hope and pray that they change, I think that's wasted energy, because they are who they are. I think it's more, what that couple does to stay unified.
Yeah, my sister said, I think Kiki says, I think the couple has to set the boundary, and it is hard to do for some people.
Yeah, it is very hard, because you're torn. The family that raised you, and you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
build a life with somebody, you're just like, you have this kind of loyalty to your family, but at some point you feel like this is unreasonable. This is
Yeah.
doesn't even seem right. I'm telling you, I'm happy. So I would think that your daughter or your son's happiness supersedes your happiness. In those cases, it's just like their happiness is more important than that said child.
Yep. Yep. I mean, that's what I was thinking as well. Since you said that, um, in a relationship, and this is along the same lines, and this is difficult a lot of times. And I know it's put to people in a way, sometimes it's like hard. Like in a relationship, who do you think should come first? I've seen, and I must describe a scenario to you.
Mhm.
Should, is it your husband, in this instance, Fantasia, or your dad, or your mom, or whomever else? Is it the husband first and then everybody else, or is it your family and then your husband? And let me describe the scenario. I
Mhm.
saw this thing, as to me, it was disturbing. It was a husband and wife. They're getting in a car, and the mom is with them. The wife goes around to the front to get in the front, and the mom asked the wife, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm getting in the car." And then the mother says, "You better get your ass in that back seat." And so the mother and the wife have an exchange.
Mhm.
The husband comes around and he's like, "Whoa, hey, what's going on? What is the problem?" So the mother said, "Your wife gonna tell me I gotta ride in the back." So the son says, "Well, honey, go ahead on and get in the back because my mother's here." Right? So look, Nneka, So the wife says, what? What did you say? He's like, yeah, why don't you just, we just going to the store. Go ahead and get in the back. So the mother is agitating. The mother now says, that's what I told you. You know who the queen is. So now with Nneka, who's first? The husband or the mother? Or the father? Or the wife? Or the mother or the father family? Who's first?
My husband is first.
Okay. No, I mean, I want you to talk about your situation, but in the clinical situation,
okay,
because I need you to play two roles tonight, and all the things and all the stuff that we do, but specifically tonight, because I need you to talk to people who are married specifically, because I can tell you as a person who's counseled married couples, and I'll talk about it after you're done. I saw this a lot. I saw this a whole lot.
I think, let's just say with me and my mother-in-law, there is a mutual respect that we have for one another, right? Mutual respect, hands down. So what we typically do in a situation, we used to travel together. Like we take road trips together a lot. And with the kids and my husband, with Fred. And we would do this thing right here. I'm like, Gigi, you can get up front. She said, no, you get up front. You can get up front. No, you get up front. So we're both creating this space because it's not that important. It's not that important for me to be up front, but I wouldn't want her to tell me I belong up front. Now, I think I would take issue if she felt like she has this automatic place I'm supposed to me, that says, you think you still first. You think you still priority over me. That's what that would say to me. If you are so bent on being up front, what is it about being up front? What message is that? What message? What are you trying to tell me? Because to me, that's a messaging in that. Yeah. Oh, that I come before you. So because we have a mutual respect for one another, she'd like me. I'll be like, Gigi, you can get up front. She said, no, you get up front. So I just have a mutual respect for, because it don't bother me to be in the back seat. But at the same time, she was like, no. So although I would like to be up front with my husband, I knew to offer it up to her. I knew the fact that I offered it up, and it wasn't her saying, this is where I belong. You belong in the back seat. So there's just a mutual respect, like I said, and then usually I end up in the front because she is the best mother-in-law ever. I call her mother-in-love. She's the best mother-in-law ever. So she never made me feel like, because to me that's saying something.
Yeah.
There's a hidden message there. Because mama shouldn't be fighting over the front. She shouldn't be. Now,
that's what I was going to ask you.
If daughter offer it up and you want to take it. But leave it open, because why is it such a big deal that you be up front? What message are you sending me as your daughter-in-law? That you gotta be up front, that you will argue that point with me, because it's not that big of a deal for the daughter-in-law to be up front. It's not that big of a deal. But what message, Mom, are you sending to your daughter-in-law?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you. So, okay, what should the proper position be from your individual standpoint and your clinical standpoint? Tell me which should it be? Should you be first now, since you're married to the husband?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the mother. Okay.
Yep. Yes. Because when my kids get married, I'm automatically jumping in the back. Automatically. I am not going to put I'm not going to put my son, my daughter in a position that I have to choose.
Yes. That's where I wanted you to go.
I'm going.
Yeah. That's what I want you to talk about. Where you're now forcing your child to make a decision, that shouldn't have to be made, right? Like, as a parent, you should know, okay, that's my child's spouse. And I always think about it now. What if it were me, right? Why would I do that to my daughter? Yeah. I wouldn't do that. I want to know too, by the way, for all of you guys who are in the chat or whatever, or in the comments, I want to know what you think about it. What would your position be? How would you deal with this? Because I know, like you, for me, with my daughter and her husband, I'm sitting in the back. Yeah. I don't have a dog in that fight. It's my daughter, and I know too how much my daughter loves her husband. Because sometimes I get upset with my daughter because my daughter got the baby sitting in the back. I'm like, well, are you gonna sit in the back seat with the baby? She's like, Daddy, we got a whole mirror back there. She got, toys back there. I'm sitting next to my husband, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I can't really tell her what to do. She a grown woman. She got a whole husband and a baby. For me personally, I'm getting in the back. I don't have a problem. Now I will say this: if it's my mother and my wife, I have an understanding of my wife and my mother. I'm like, my wife is first. I had to tell my kids. I've told my kids, my wife is before you. My
Absolutely.
wife is before everybody. She's before my father, before my mother. But they all understand it because that's how I treat her. I'm like, I don't. My wife is not second to anybody except God. That's it. It's God first, then her. That's it. And then everybody else starts to fall in line. And then it's my kids, and then it's my parents, and well, actually, now it's probably my granddaughter. they're my kids. I love my kids, but it's them, So that's just what it is. But I think that has to be talked about, Nneka, because I've done so many marital counseling sessions where this has been a problem, where the wife usually, the man does it too, because there's a lot of mama boys out there, so I ain't gonna not let them off the hook. But the wife will put the parents, and they'll say, I had one couple, the mother and her sister, well, the wife's mother and sisters will come over their house anytime they felt like it. They just show up. And then the husband would come home and be like, what the hell is going on? Like 50 million people at my house. And his wife is like, well, that's my family. And he's like, well, I'm your husband. And she's like, well, that's my family. And he's like, well, I'm your husband. And so, they got into this whole thing of who's first. And you should never have to argue about who's first.
No.
But I guess my question to you would be, if you can't get that worked out, what happens next? Because I would feel, and I'll just say this, I would feel disrespected. Like,
Absolutely.
that's just me. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else. And for those of you who are listening, I would love to know what you think. But as a husband, I would feel disrespected that my wife would just feel like, oh, your family comes before me, and if they need something, they can get it before I can get it. That's how I would feel.
Yeah. I think some people feel like, I feel like you can stay emotionally connected to your family, but by and still have boundaries. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's that enmeshment. You're too close to your family. You're oversharing. You're spending too much time, and
Mm-hmm.
like the dynamics change when you get married. You
Yeah.
can just pop up over my house. No one's ever been able to do that. I think we all have a agreed, understanding in any situation. I'm not about to just come over nobody's house.
Yeah.
And I would respect that too. So I just think some people just don't respect marriage. And I think that's the bottom line. It's just like they don't feel like things should shift and change once you become married. It should change. You can still say emotionally connected to your family, but it's going to be a shift, and you gotta
Mm-hmm.
expect that shift. And some people don't. Who
Yeah.
the people we need to.
Yeah, I've been going through them just because I'm
Okay.
cognizant of what you told me. So my sister said it's how you look at this situation. Queen's sitting in the back, but she's not married either. So, and I'm assuming she's saying as the mother, she was sitting in the back if that was the case.
Who your
Uh,
sister saying
yeah,
she was
yeah. If
back.
she was married, yeah, she was. I mean, if her children were married, she's sitting in the back
Okay,
while the
yeah.
wife sat in the front.
Mhm.
It's just interesting because as I think about that situation, I could think, Nneka, I could run down a whole bunch of situations where here's another one, and then we can move on, where the wife felt like the mother, the wife felt like her mother needed help, and because her and her husband were doing well enough that she should give to the mother. But here was the kicker: the mother made her feel like that. The mother put her on. It's like, listen, you doing well. I'm not doing well. It's your responsibility. And I want you to talk to this nigga because I see this a lot, where the parent makes the child feel like now they're responsible for them for raising them as a child. And my response to them, and you can tell me if I was wrong or not, but my response to the parent was, you brought the child into this world. It is not the child's responsibility to take care of you.
Right.
Should they do it? They don't, that's up to them. Would you want them to do it? Absolutely. But is it a debt that they are owed to you? No, it isn't. My kids don't have to take care of me. I would hope, Nneka, that if something happened to me or my wife, that my kids would step right in and take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't make them do it, and I'm not going to make them feel obligated to do it. I took care of my kids because that was the right thing to do. Right thing to do. And God gave them to me to take care of them and raise them, not the other way around. Now, as I get older again, I would hope that my kids will honor me as I took care of them as their parent and as the Bible says. But they don't have to do that. They can go live their lives the whole way, do whatever it is they're doing. But to make your child feel like that, and to make your child feel like you don't have to discuss it with your spouse. I'm your parent. You're supposed to do this. Like, now I need you to weigh in and tell me where we are on that.
In terms of a mom or a dad making the child feel obligated, there's an
Yes.
obligation.
And it's almost disrespectful to the spouse, right? Forget what the spouse says.
I just wonder what those relationships were like from day one. Why people feel like, someone has to be indebted to them. And so it's just that kind of mindset is really selfish. And I don't feel like my kids owe me anything, nor do I owe my parents anything. Now, I want to give to them.
Yep.
When my father was alive, I wanted to give to him. I want to give to my mother. My mother don't necessarily need our money. But if they needed it, we would have to talk about it. If any family member needed something, it would be, and we have it to give. It would be a conversation me and my husband would have together. But it's not. I'm not going to let anyone make me guilt me into doing things. No, like you said, you had me. I didn't ask to be born. So I just think with that kind of mindset, I just feel like the emotional intelligence is not there. It's very selfish. And I just wonder like how those relationships have been from the start, the enmeshment, the oversharing, the doing everything together. And so you kind of stay in that realm of thinking because, before, you met this person, we were doing everything together. You were helping me. You were doing all these things and you weren't setting boundaries with that said parent as you get older. I hear some people who have, you married and you have a joint account with your mother.
Whew. Man, listen, Nneka, listen, not just the joint account, but every week or month, you just giving money to your parent, whatever the case is. And check this out, Nneka, it was in one extreme case. The daughter had the parents and her family members listed on the insurance policy. So if something happened to the mother or to the spouse, then the parents and the family.
That's so bad.
Nneka,
that's bad.
Nneka, when I tell you, I was like, what? And here's the thing: as a spouse, you can't control that, right? Like you cannot control that. If your spouse wants to list them as the beneficiaries of your policy, there's nothing you can do about it except to say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be married because that's a disservice to me as your spouse. But people do it all the time. I've seen it. I'm like, God, this is the person died and you say, what? Wait a minute, hold on a second. What the policy says, what again?
Yeah. That's such a disrespect to your spouse. It's such a disrespect.
So my sister said, how do you tell the parent that demands help that you and your spouse have decided not to help like they want? You can take that, first, Nneka, and then I'll come behind you.
Say that. Repeat the question again.
Sure. My sister said, Kiki said, so how do you tell the parent that demands help that you and your spouse have decided not to help like they want?
How do you tell them that you're not going to help?
The way that they want you to. So for example, let's say you say, I need $1,000 and the husband said, you can get 200.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, you have to have that united front when it comes to making decisions. I mean, I guess you got to assess where you stand. Now, if you have it to give, and let's just say this is a repeated thing. I don't typically like to give. Now, if it's a one-time thing, I can help people out. But if it's a continuous thing, that's not necessarily help. Now I'm taking care of you. Yeah. And so I would really assess whether or not, how many times have this person come to me and ask for money? Because now I'm enabling. I'm an enabler.
Let's take it off of money, just in general. Oh, help in general, right?
What kind of other help is there?
So if maybe it's living. I got to go to the grocery store. I gotta, just help in general, like just those. Oh, let's put it this way. Let's say you and your spouse are considering moving from one state to another state. And the parent says, well, or the parent says, you can't move because if you move, then who's going to help me? Who's going to take care of me?
Yeah. Well, the reality is, as my parents and my in-laws are getting older, the reality is I wouldn't want to move if
Mm-hmm.
they're up in like 70s and up. I wouldn't want
Yep.
to at that
Mm-hmm.
this stage in life. But
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, they're younger parents. Let's say my kids say they, my oldest is 26 and he says he wanted to move out of state. I think me and Fred, we're still able to take care of ourselves, and I hope we will always be able to take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. But I think as you know, what do they call it? This not this they call it the sandwich generation or
That's
the
us where we're in the middle, where we're taking care of our kids and our parents.
yeah. Um,
Yes, I forget what it's called, but it's something to. I know
yeah, but I,
the.
I don't think I would pick up and move anywhere. I
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't, because one, I'm real close. I guess it depends on how close you are with said parents, but I'm really close to my in-laws and my mom that I wouldn't want to go nowhere at this stage. So it's kind of hard for me to answer that because I would
Mm-hmm.
be leaving because I want to help take care. What would you do? Would you?
Oh, I did it. I left. I'm in. I moved. I mean,
Now, where do your mom and dad? Where do they live?
in DC.
Okay, but
They're
you're,
in DC.
you're back and forth though, right?
I'm back and forth. But I told my parents, I was like, for me, it was a thing of I still want to live my life until the point where I have to take care of you. So, for instance, my parents are able to take care of themselves right now. And before
Yeah,
I moved, by the way, I had a conversation with them. I said, look, I'm getting ready to make this move. And by the way, if you want to come with me, y'all can come. Like I told my parents, I'm willing to do some things that a lot of people probably wouldn't. Like I'm willing to build an establishment where my parents can live not in my house, but I will build them something for them. Right.
okay.
So my daughters, I moved to be closer to my daughters, mainly to my grandbaby. Right. Um, and believe it or not, we're gonna do a show on this. I've run into a lot of people who have moved to be closer to their grandkids because they want to be,
Yeah,
they want to have some
that is
participation
yeah.
and be able to do it, right? And it's a beautiful thing for those of you can do it. I promise you, I love doing it. I love being
Mhm.
next to my grandbaby. It's something about seeing her little
Oh,
face almost every day, right? And being able to influence or have some influence in her life, especially since my children, my son-in-law, my son-in-love, and my daughter allow us to do it. So it's a beautiful thing. But what I said to my children, my long-term goal, just so you know, is I want to build a compound, right,
mm,
for my family. I want to build a ranch. And so my family will have access to a place where, let's just say when my parents get older, they can't take care of themselves. I want to build them a place that they can come be here where I can take care of them,
right.
right? Because
Yeah,
I'll have the means to do it. And my kids want to live that close to me as well. So they're like, well, why don't we just build this family compound where we all can stay on it? So it's not like somebody's here or over there. We
yeah,
can just make sure everybody is good. So I told my parents, I was like, at this stage of my life, me and you, we're in a sandwich generation, right? So our parents are now 70s, almost 80.
yeah,
And so I want to try to live as much as my life as I can
mm,
before I have to take care of my family. Thank God my parents have said, we don't need you yet.
yeah.
But when we do need you, we gonna let you know.
That's right.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I just need like 5 more years, 5 good more years, because there's some things I still want to do
Yeah,
before I have to taking on my part. Now I don't consider it a burden. It's just that I want to do some things, and I know because I have friends who do this. Once you take on your parents, it's like taking care of your kids.
yeah,
You're not traveling as much. You're not as active. You're gonna have to slow down. Because I believe my wife and I will be a more hands-on kind of a situation. Although we might have people coming to help us, we'll be very hands-on in taking care of our parents. We're
yeah.
not gonna put them in a home. We're not, that's not something we're interested in doing. Although my dad said, man, you listen, go live your life. I'm like, man, I couldn't live my life and have you in a home,
Mm,
right? I just couldn't do it.
no,
So for me, that's my ultimate goal. Now, will my parents do that? I don't know, because I don't know if they're gonna want to move, from where they are to where I'm at.
right. Yeah,
But I've given them the option. I'm like, there's always that option,
yeah,
right? If you want me to do that, sell your stuff, come be with me, and do this. And this is not just for my dad and my mom, but some of my other relatives as well. Because I have a plan, for building this ranch where I build this apartment like complex.
mm,
So if I need to put them in it or anyone in it for a temporary reason or whatever, they can have that. You know, like it's just like you go into an apartment complex, it has its own little pool, your own little common area. You know, you got your own 2-bedroom situation, underground parking, so you can park your car if you got a car, whatever the case is. It's for them. That's my ultimate goal for me, is what I love to do for my family, because I don't want to see them out, and I have the means to do it. So, you know, that's what it is. But yeah, I would move. I did it.
Yeah, like you know, my in-laws and my mom, they're able to take care of themselves, but it's just I like to see them.
Yep.
I like to spend time with them, and I'm just I'm super close to my mom.
Yeah.
And my sister is here too, so
see, there you go. Yeah.
Her family, and all my friends. I am really, the people that are in my life, I'm super close to them, and to uproot and move somewhere else where I don't know people.
Yeah. You would think it would be challenging, but you know what makes it less challenging? Seeing your grandbaby every day.
Okay.
Listen, I'm gonna check back with you when you have grandkids.
In the world we live in, Michael, I'm not encouraging it. The world
you're not encouraged, Nneka. Yes.
The world is so scary. It is so scary, and I know I shouldn't be led by fear, but
no, you shouldn't.
But it's scary to me.
It's definitely scary. But guess what?
Stress around it.
I believe your children, my children, our grandchildren are going to change this world. It's going to be a better place.
You're right.
And I believe that they're going to be put here to do specifically that.
Glory to God.
And so I don't have any fear. I just believe that that's who they're going to be. And guess what? I'm going to raise them that way, right? To be world changers. And so, yeah, I'm not afraid at all. You know what I'm afraid of, though? I'm afraid of not being able to see my grandbaby as much as I do. I'm afraid of not being able to participate in her life. I'm afraid that I can't give her still some of the best parts of me. I've given as much as I probably can to my kids, and I have still some more to give. And I want to make sure that I can give that to her. And I want her to know who her grandfather and her grandmother are and were, right? And I'm building this part of my life. I always tell men this. In this part of my life, I'm in my legacy building part. Like, I don't really need a lot of stuff from me. Another car, another house, another watch, another suit. I don't really need all that, right? But now it's, okay, my kids. Let's put, my wife and I talk all the time, what can we do to put our kids in a good situation? Yeah. So if they do have to take care of me, they don't have to take care of me. Like, the money is there. The situation is already set up. It's just coming, hey, come check on me. That's right. Make sure I'm still breathing. Put the glass up under my nose. On the mirror up under my nose. Right? It's that kind of situation.
They take care of their family.
It's that kind of situation. Good. Yeah. That's what I'm after now. But I pray that that's the case. I got one more question for you. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been really prepared because I've been wanting to talk to you about this. So, last question for you. Can a relationship survive if the family never comes around? I have thoughts about this, but I want to get your thoughts about this.
Yeah, I believe it can. That said, the partner whose family doesn't like said person, if he is united with and constant with making sure that said spouse is loved and cared for, that he or she is a priority, and that it's us against them, or however you want to put it, and it's not, and he or she doesn't feel divided, absolutely. It's an uncomfortable situation, because when you think about holidays and stuff like that, that said partner may not want to come to the holiday gatherings because they're treated poorly. And so it can survive. So it's really, again, you got to have that unified, front. So I think it can survive if you're unified.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I so 100% agree with you. One of the things that I tell people when I perform the counseling or do coaching with them is, you have to get on a united front before you get married. Like, you have to know you're going to have situations come before you. And the first thing that people have to know, like your children, your parents, whomever else, they can't split or divide you. Because children, as you know, Nneka, and anybody who has kids, your kids will try to split you and your husband. If they can't get it from you, they'll go to your husband and try to get it, and so forth and so on, especially when they're young. And you got to teach your kids, listen, if you do this again, you're going to have to pay some consequences. You're going to get taught this lesson one time. Don't ever do this. Don't try to come to me to get something that you couldn't get from your mother. Don't do that, because it's disrespectful to both of us when you do it. And what it also does, or can do, is it put my wife and me at odds about you, which should never be the case, right? And I'm not going to let my children come between my wife and I.
That's
So
good. I didn't think about the kids coming in between, but you're right. My
yeah,
try to divide and conquer too. So you are right.
yeah.
Good.
So you got to be careful with that. And that's not just kids. That's if anybody sees a gap there, they can try to exploit the gap. And so I've been this is just me personally, my own personal testimony. I've been very upfront with all my family members, with my wife's family members. Don't play me like that. Like my wife don't have to tell you. I went to my wife's family and told them, don't do me like this.
Wow.
Don't try to come between me and my wife. I'm
Mhm.
not going to put or try to come between you and her, and don't try to come between us. And I
Yeah,
had to make my wife understand too. We're united front. Like if we're not going to be united front, we're not going to be a front at all.
that's right.
That's how it has to be.
Yeah.
You know, and so we got it. We've been doing this thing for almost 31 years now, and people know like you can't do that. That's just not how we roll. My kids, especially, they know that. They like, no, they're not gonna try it. And our grandbaby, she trying. Oof.
What is she trying to do?
She'll do little stuff like my wife is like, and I get it because I say the same thing sometimes. She'll be doing something. I was like, no, she shouldn't do this. Like, she all right.
Who your Stephanie will say she shouldn't do
Uh-huh.
that.
No,
Do you?
I'll say it. Either one of us might say it. And sometimes I'll say it. So like, no, she like my daughter was telling me the other day, I love glasses like you do, right? I have some very expensive glasses. And my daughters know they like, you can't mishandle my glasses or my like stuff that I have that's fairly expensive. I think my granddaughter was messing with my watch one day or messing with my glasses. And they was like, stop. And I was like, no, she all right. She all right. They was like, Dad, you let her throw your glasses down? I'll just get another pair. Don't worry about it. Now I wouldn't do that with them. I would
That
never.
is something.
I would never do that with them. Yeah.
Them grandbabies is just something different, huh?
Let me tell you something. Nneka, having grandkids changes your whole. I'm nowhere near what I was before my grandbaby. Even before, when I knew she was
Wow.
coming, I was just a different person. Like, I mean, things don't matter to me that used to matter to me. Like I thought, I never, and by the way, since you mentioned this, I never thought I would have probably moved from DC to where I'm at now. Somebody would say, no, hell no,
So
nah.
your daughter is in Houston.
Uh-huh.
That's why. Okay, so I never knew why you were.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have came here for no, heck no. My daughters were already living here for about 3 or 4 years, and my daughter was like, I'm pregnant. I was like, oh, okay. But it wasn't, I'll be honest with you, this is what did it. My wife, we were here one time, right after after my granddaughter was born, and we were leaving the next day, and my wife was really sad. I was like, what's going on? What's going on with you? Why are you so sad? She's like, I don't want to leave. I was like, oh, well, we're coming back next month. She's like, no, I don't want to leave to go home now. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, we got to go home. Like tomorrow, the flight, we on it home. She's like, I don't want to go back. And I was like, you want it? What are you saying? She's like, I don't know, but I don't want to go back. I don't want to be without her. So in that moment, I just realized, you know what? What would it take to live somewhere else as well,
Wow.
right?
Make it
And
happen.
because I had already planned, Nneka, like I had already had flights for 6 months coming every month.
For you guys
So,
to that grandbaby.
oh yeah. We was coming every month, so the flights were already booked. That was already a done thing. Hotels, all that stuff was done every single month. So I looked at it one day. I was sitting with my wife. I said, I wonder what it would cost if we just got something here as opposed to doing that. And it just made sense because I was spending so much money in flights, hotel. You got to think about it. If you're in a hotel for, let's say, 7 to 10 days, you could be paying a mortgage. So I was like, you know what? I might as well rent something. At least I got it for 30 days. I got it for I got it for 12, 13 months.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it wasn't no thing. When I told my wife, I said, I tell you what, the next time we go back, let's just look for a place. She was so happy. We found a place probably in like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So the moral of the story. Wow.
Grandbabies rule the world.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully I do get to experience it, God willing.
I'm praying that you do. But anyway, yeah, we got to wrap it up. But
yes,
I'm praying for Fantasia and her family because it's nothing that's crazy for me to watch as a dad, to watch this young woman go through this with her husband and know that her dad, I really feel like it's her dad being selfish. I think she was doing a lot for her father. I think a lot, when I say a lot, I mean like she was doing a lot of this for her father. And the husband probably came along and course corrected, was like, he a grown man, he got to take care of himself.
Family system. Yeah.
He broke the family system, and now the dad is upset because he been cut off and he might need something. You know, we all speculating over here. We don't know, but that's what it seems like, Dad. That's what it feels like over here.
They
So
say root of all evil.
The money is the root of all evil. Yeah. So yeah, Nneka, any last words from you, young lady? Give us some advice.
I think if you're a person that's out there and you, let's say you take issue with your child's boyfriend, girlfriend, or what have you, and you're, making it very hard for them to make connections, ask yourself the question, is it justified? Sometimes we don't necessarily do the hard work and ask ourselves, why don't I like this person? I mean, my child is happy. Why am I so against them being together? So, and I think if people would just challenge themselves in any situation to ask themselves when they're not too comfortable with the situation, really do the work and ask yourself, what is it really? What is it really about? Like you did, Michael, like, what is this really about? Am I projecting something onto my child that, I haven't healed from? And so sometimes you got to ask yourself, especially if there's no apparent reason why. Now there is a reason why. Why not? Let's work to solve the problem. If it's solvable. I think so often we're so quick to just want to end things. That's the going thing. Let's just end it, because nobody wants to fix anything because it's work. So I would just challenge, our supporters, our listeners to, if you have that kind of situation, ask yourself the question, why?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Nneka. I mean, especially as a father looking at this situation, you really need to stop and think, is this doing you any good? Is it doing my daughter any good? Is it, what is it doing to them? And how is it impacting my relationship, or rather his relationship with his daughter? Because the last thing we want is a divide between a father and a daughter. That's a very special relationship. And right now, it appears as though that thing has been torn, sliced, diced, all kinds of ways. And now there is no relationship. And so you do have to ask yourself as a father, are you going way too far with this? Like, was it necessary? And at this point, do you owe your daughter an apology? I would think you may owe your daughter a very public apology for what you've done, for what you've said, how you've comported yourself. And you owe her husband an apology as well. And we as men got to sometimes look, like you said, Nneka, explore, is it me? Am I being selfish now, right? Is it more about me than it is about my daughter? And in this instance, it looks like it's more about this father than it is about his daughter. This woman seems to be, by all account, she is very, very happy with her husband. There's nothing to say that he's been beating on her, he's cheating on her, he's stolen from her, or any of these other kinds of things. And guess what? Even if he did, that's between them. That's not even our business.
Nope.
And so we need to give them the grace that we too would want, and get out of their marriage and let them function. I would just say to Fantasia and her husband, man, listen, y'all stick together. Y'all ride this thing on, no matter what, it's y'all. It's Team Taylor. Don't let anybody come between, you're in your relationship and split you guys over some nonsense. Stick together. You're going to be okay. And as a person who's had to do this, to her husband, you may not get along with her day. It might be a situation where today, y'all got to be apart. And he will at some point prayerfully come to understand that you are the man that God sent your daughter to be her husband.
If she's safe, it shouldn't be an issue. There's a safety issue. Yes, there is a concern there.
Thank you.
Safety issue. Leave it
That's
alone.
it. That's exactly what I was trying to say. In any event, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the content. Nneka, as usual, I have had a great time with you. Thank you for all the nuggets. Thank you for the teaching. It has been fantastic. I love this subject. As you both and I, we both love marriage. We love relationships, the whole 9 yards. And it was near and dear to both of us. So thank you guys for joining. Nneka, you have some final words?
No, that's it. No.
Okay. All right. Well, if you need Nneka's help, you can find her on social media. Go ahead, Nneka. It's
just my first, middle, initial, last name on Instagram, on Facebook. Just look that name up and follow me, and join in on some of the chats that I have on social media.
Yep. And thank you. This again is Mike Johnson. Thank you so much for coming out and support us today on Mandatory Conversations with Mike Johnson, my co-host on this evening, Mrs. Nneka J. Owens. You can find us next Monday. We're gonna have a juicy topic for you. We thought we had something else. We're gonna work on that other something else
Yeah, but Michael, men are kind of difficult though to come on and talk. They're not that easy. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay. But you're right though. I gotta admit to you, because I couldn't get a single one. We got to put a plot twist to it or something, I guess. I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you why I think it is.
Okay. All right. We're going to jump off here. Thank you guys. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you for joining. Thank you to my sister for commenting. Thank you for those of you all, after we gone off here, you can certainly comment and we'll respond back to you. Thank you so much again. We appreciate you. We are up out of here. Peace.